kind of sad to see that Xbox was finally at a good spot where I felt like they might actually make a comeback. Their subscription model was kind of weird, but it led them to giving some of their exclusives to PlayStation, and even giving games on like the day one with Game Pass. I was doubtful that this would make money, but apparently it was profitable somehow. I wasn't a fan at first because there's no way you can offer that much value for $20. But if this means that we'll get more Xbox games like Halo, Gears of War, even Fable, then I'm all for it, since I'm always down to see Xbox and PlayStation fight over the right to take our money. This is like win-win for us because they're gonna make good products and the pricing are gonna be competitive enough to entice us to buy. As for the Game Pass itself, in my opinion, the subscription was actually a good deal if you're new to the whole PC thing and don't have a ton of games to add to your library yet. Especially with the price of $20, like, it's not bad. For that price, you're able to play a lot of the Xbox games for dirt cheap. So if you never owned an Xbox and only stuck with like PlayStation your entire life, this was a way for you to finally immerse yourself in the games that you've been missing out from the console exclusivity. And as a PlayStation fanboy, I will be the first to admit that we kind of did miss a lot of the bangers that Xbox had during the golden era of gaming. The selection isn't small by any means. There's like plenty of variety in the Game Pass for you to even experiment with many types of games. So regardless of what things you like, there might be a chance for you to find your next obsession somewhere in the game library. The best part about this service is the day one releases. And I tell you, they're not some random ass game like Wolf Hunter 26-7. They're actually the hype games you'd want to play. I was able to play Expedition 33, Doom the Dark Ages, and even Oblivion on the day that they were released for about $20 a month. That's actually an unbelievable value, especially when the price of the games are like minimally $70. Like, that's not such a bad deal. And I know Expedition and Oblivion weren't like $70 games, but the fact that you can play them on day one with this service is such a good deal. So to me, like, paying this like one small fee a month to experience all those cool games was a no-brainer to me. Like, I could easily fork over $20 a month. That's fine. I'll just eat one less meal and I can experience a lot of cool games, while also getting the XQC build. And I think it's also cool that they allow you to play your games on the cloud, and all of this is already included in the service you're paying for. I know it's still in beta, but assuming you had a stable connection, I was able to play some of the games on the go. Sure, there's some input lag, but at least the option is there for you if you really want to make it work. Like, this is good for those people who don't own a console or a gaming PC. They have a way to play these games without committing so much of a price to getting those hardware. Like, it makes gaming accessible for everyone at a small price of $20. This was a perfect scenario for a guy I knew who had the urge to play the Madden games. But the issue is that he hasn't owned a console in years. He was hesitant to buy any consoles because he was going into college, so money was going to be tight. I told him to try the Xbox Game Pass, since all you really need is just a subscription service and a cheap controller to pair to your PC or your phone. It was a way for him to play his favorite games without putting himself in financial debt. It was like the best use case for the Xbox Game Pass that I can think of. He was able to play it anywhere, and as long as he had a stable connection, he can game. I probably ruined his chances of success at that college, but at least he's happy. I will say that the input lag was pretty noticeable when you decided to use like the cloud streaming stuff, but you kind of have to make some compromises here since it's not a dedicated console. But hey, at least you don't have to buy an expensive ass gaming system to make this work. The other scenario I found Game Pass to be useful is when the group can't decide what to play. I can't tell you how many times the group had analysis paralysis and couldn't decide what game to play. We would just end up on a Discord call, basically pretending like we're lawyers in suits, trying to convince the other side what game we should play. And, you know, I get it. Each of us has different tastes. And since gaming has gotten pretty expansive over the years to account for like many genres and the little niches out there, it's kind of hard to find a game that we all share unless it's something that we planned ahead of time. What Game Pass did for me, since their library is pretty expansive, it allowed me to download a game that my friend already had in their library so I could play with him. The game in question was a game called Power Wash Simulator. This game really doesn't appeal to me whatsoever since, I don't know, it's not my thing. But the fact that it was on Game Pass made a big difference because it made a rare gaming session happen with my friends. I'm at a point in my life where a lot of my friends have different schedules, so any chance I can reduce any friction to game with my friends is a huge win in my book. And as corny as this sounds, the real fun is playing with friends. The game is just there to set the stage. All this is why I truly believe that the Game Pass had some potential for good, despite it possibly leading to gaming's demise. It was like a double-edged sword, but it offered many upsides with that price of like $20. Like, this is the main reason why I'm even considering paying monthly for this service. But recently, Xbox decided to jack up the price, and the reason is to add more value, in quotations, to the Gaming Pass. So these are currently the new prices, and the highest tier is going to be now $30. This is the service that you're gonna need to pay for if you want to get all those day one access to like the most recent hype titles. The only other thing they really added to make this worth your while possibly is like the extra games you get from either the Ubisoft classic titles or EA Play, which to me is not very compelling to justify that raise in their prices. I would prefer if they spent that extra money to make like more games that are actually fun, but instead they shut down some studios that they own and expect me to pay more for their trash ass perks. And I don't need any more subscriptions in my life, and I don't think you guys need to either. Americans apparently have more than 4 subscriptions running at a time, and I'm not trying to have Xbox account for that. Like $30 is a lot of money to fork over every month. Like that's like 2 good meals in a restaurant or even 5 orders of like the $6 meal deals from McDonald's. Like a lot is at stake here, and I'm not trying to pay that extra premium. Which is a sentiment that I think a lot of people share with me because they're unsubscribing to the service as soon as the news dropped. It got so bad that the site crashed. Like that's a clear sign for me that no one asked for this price hike. Like if I had to put my conspiracy hat on, I think that Xbox is banking on the Planet Fitness model, where they try to sell as much memberships as possible in hopes that those people forget that they even paid for it in the first place, in order to like underutilize it, which is gonna likely happen because a lot of people live unpredictable lives. Like, life just happens and you can't game for a certain amount of periods because you gotta take care of business, which makes the pockets of Xbox just run deeper since you're AFK. So in my opinion, the real lesson here is that if you're paying for a subscription service, use that motherfucker like you own that bitch until they kick your ass from using the service altogether. Or just unsubscribe to the service entirely unless there's like a game on day one that you really want to play. Then just play the shit out of the game and unsub after that. I'm probably gonna follow suit with the rest of the people because that once great deal I kept pitching to my friends is now gone. The only time I can really recommend this is if there's like a free trial for the Ultimate Pass and just cash that shit in when there's like a new release that you're really interested in getting. Otherwise, just save your money. Use that $30 to get some lunch specials at a sushi place or like a Korean barbecue spot somewhere. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe, and then